Uh-oh.
Does everybody know what time it is?
Home and podcast time.
That's right, Binford Tools is proud to present a home improvement podcast. My name is Adam. You all know my co-host, Jordan. Hey, Jordan, been a while.
Been quite a while. I think the masses were thinking we broke up as a podcast duo, but we're back and we're ready.
With the way things have been going pre-show and your kind of attitude, I think maybe a breakup would have been better than what we're going through currently.
Listen, I just mirror your attitude, so if anything's coming from me, it's coming from you first.
You're a podcast chameleon. That is true. Well, on a more positive note, Jordan, a lot of good things have happened of late. And I'm going to list them in order of importance, starting with least important. You bought a house. That's the least important. Number two, Brett White was on Match Game.
Something I did not see coming.
Number one, I met Richard Karn. So all good things.
I think that one, it's hard to even put them on a list because the gap between 1 and 2, no offense, Brett White, is so big.
But the gap between 3 and 2 is not very, it's pretty narrow, right?
I don't know, it depends on if you're me and you're living in a house instead of with your in-laws, so.
That's true, yeah, man, I bet if those walls could talk in that old place, they'd tell stories, huh? All right.
Ghost stories.
Jordan, it is, despite how I feel, I will say it is good to talk to you again.
What does that mean?
And I'm excited to finally talk about this game. We have not talked a lick about anything that happened in Midland.
The only thing that I have about this game, I saw the stuff on Twitter, right? You posted some great stuff, some pictures, some polls that we won't necessarily go into, but obviously you took everyone's suggestions. And then you just texted me and you said, I have so much to tell you. And so I've been waiting on pins and needles for feels like ever now. Yeah. So I'm ready for you to spill it. Spill the beans.
Okay. It's hard to even know where to begin, but I guess I'll start at the beginning. That's as good a place as any. When you're telling a story, I think the beginning is a good place to start. Okay. So I don't even know if you know who went with me. Me?
I heard on was it the Father's Day? You said Ryan Thornberg?
That's right.
Well, I think I think you threw shade at him like 2 episodes ago.
Oh, well, that's fine. We're back in good terms. Former roommate, current friend, Ryan Thornberg, myself, my mom and dad, after a day of travel, went back to my hometown, our hometown, Davison, Michigan.
Wow.
Made my way up to Midland. And Jordan, boy, what a first-class experience it was. The Loons, fantastic seats. I mean, I couldn't believe it. First row, behind home plate, dead center. It was unbelievable. So
if those games are on TV, you'd be there all the time, and just like you got your sign. Did you have like your home and podcast sign?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a lot of people did actually. I guess fans. I don't know.
You did spend quite a bit on promotional materials, so that makes sense.
Well, I passed all those business cards.
Did you end up making those or no?
No, it would have been a good idea, but that's a lot of labor.
So much labor.
That's a lot of passing them out is a lot of labor.
Oh,
the
cards
itself is not laborious.
It's like constant weird conversations.
Yeah, and also like I kind of just wanted to enjoy. It was kind of a Father's Day thing as well. So I wanted to just kind of enjoy the game with my dad and mother and of course Ryan Thornberg, who's been like a father to me.
Yeah, it makes sense
over the years. So I made a list of all the kind of home improvement tie-ins. I guess I will sort of go through these, and if you have any questions or anything, or you want to talk about, and then at the end, I'm going to talk about my interaction with Richard Karn. Does that sound good?
Okay. Yeah, save the best for last.
I think so, yeah. All right, so in no particular order, Richard Karn, he wore a Loons baseball jersey, and he threw out the first pitch. It was not a very good pitch, but he looked good doing it. He kind of bounced it in there, but...
Do you think you'd throw a strike?
Do I think I would or he would?
Well, you saw him. I'm asking what you think you could do.
Yes.
Because I remember, we went up to Houghton Lake. Yeah. We went to those batting cages, and you were hitting them with the best of them. So I'm just curious about your all around baseball prowess at this age.
The thing about baseball for me was it was always my favorite sport, but I was never as good at it as I wanted to be. heartbreaking as it is. But I had my moments. He wasn't throwing from the mound. I think he was a couple steps in. Still sort of bounced it. But, he's a man in his 60s, so that arm strength could just be gone.
It could be. Maybe he'd be better at basketball.
Maybe. All right, so he threw out the first pitch, bounced her in, looked good doing it. All right, that's the first thing. There was a Karn booth, and I am going to save that for the end, but after that he kind of went up to a booth wherein people got in line, photos, autographs, that kind of thing. There were grunting sound effects used throughout the game. Kind of at random, I would say. I don't know that you would think
I want to be the person in charge of that soundboard where they're just like, oh, let's throw in a Tim Allen grunt right here.
And they would throw in an I don't think so Tim as well, but mostly grunts, I guess.
So like every time somebody struck out, they'd play an I don't think so Tim?
That would make more sense than what happened. They kind of just did it whenever they felt like it, I guess. Like if the game got slow, they'd be like, all right, well, better throw in a grunt and sort of spice things up. We also had a scoreboard. It's a nice scoreboard. I think I have photos of all these things on Twitter, but partially flannel on the scoreboard, so kind of a flannel pattern.
Nice.
Also a Binford Tools sponsored by kind of thing in the corner.
Ah, very nice. Nice touch.
In addition to that, the snack bar, I guess you call it a concession stand if you're not 200 years old. The concession stand had a menu that was flannel as well, digital. What else we got? They sold T-shirts that I purchased. I will take a photo of. It's green. It says Heidi Ho Neighbor, and it has a loon standing behind a fence. Wow. I wonder why they didn't do a Richard Karn T-shirt. I feel like they could have done something with that instead of a Wilson thing, but I'm not complaining. The shirts were pretty inexpensive. It's quite cool.
Yeah, maybe they had to talk to his agent. He said, no, you're not putting my face on this shirt.
Yeah, but they could have used a loon face.
Well, that's what they did anyway, right?
Yeah, I know. I mentioned the grunting sound effects, flannel on the board. Flannel on the marching band that played before the game, as well as flannel on all of the kind of like hype crew. I don't know. You know how like Tigers games will have, like, okay, they had like a bunch of like teenage, I don't know if they were teenagers or not, a bunch of young girls wearing flannel, kind of getting people to do the wave. So that was something.
Lots of flannel.
Home improvement, flannel score I mentioned. Seventh inning, Richard Karn saying, "Take me out to the ball game." He sang it from above where the announcers were. I noticed that he was holding a sheet of paper looking at the words. So the Karn man may or may not know the words to "Take me out to the ball game," or maybe he just needed a refresher. But it was pretty obvious he was reading off a sheet of paper.
When's the last time you sang that?
I know all the words.
Well,
tell you that much.
Well, I know. I mean, like when you were down in Florida, you had like, you know how some people have like pocket Bibles. You had that. So I don't know. You're kind of an anomaly in that scenario.
That I know all the words to. There's only like there's not that many words.
No, that you carry around a sheet.
Yes. Okay. The rust is showing. Last thing I have here is there. I don't know, 7th, 8th inning. There was a trivia question.
Oh.
I don't know how they picked this guy, but he came out. He was wearing flannel, so he was into the whole thing.
Man, they should have picked you.
Yeah, you read my mind. Multiple choice question. I don't remember the exact words. I can paraphrase. There was a series number before every Binford product. Multiple choice. The answer was, of course, 6100, and the guy got it right.
The crowd went wild.
The crowd did go wild. He jogged off the field, a look of elation on his face. So these are just kind of the home improvement references that I got throughout.
What did he win for getting that right?
A trip to Barbados. No, I think probably like tickets to another game or something.
So it's kind of it's almost a punishment because the Karn man won't be there.
Yeah, it is too bad. It's like the next game. Like, I don't know. I'm never going to a Loons game again because Richard Karn won't be there. It was my first game also. I'd never been there before. So, okay. So, let's talk about the meeting, shall we?
Yeah. I mean, before we get there, I was going to ask, okay, so all the interactions that we've had, they provided you with nice seats and all that kind of stuff. Did they treat you like you were semi-famous or anything like that? Or did they just like, here's your seats, thanks for tweeting about us, or what?
I didn't interact. Well, I had one interaction with a person. I didn't really interact with anyone. The seats were at will call, so I got them. just as if anybody would get seats from will call. And, I was surprised by how good the seats were, and that was very, very kind of them. But there was no real interaction beyond that.
Okay. I was just curious about that. All right, let's get to the meeting. Sorry.
All right. That's a really good question, Jordan. I always like to be asked if I was treated like a celebrity. Sadly, the answer is generally no.
The only person who does is me, right?
Not today.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So after he sings, after he throws out the first pitch, he goes to the booth. There's a line for the booth. Ryan Thornburg and I, we head over there, and we prepare to get in line, and they say, okay, where's your ticket? And I say, ticket? I got a game ticket. They say, no, it was first come, first serve. If you want to meet the Karn man, they put it into groups. So people that got there early, they're in group 1. So when they call group 1, you go up there. Group 2, group 3, group 4, group 5. And I said, okay, I don't really have this ticket. And this girl kind of seems to think like, well, that's tough luck for you. All right, so I'm a little upset right now.
Yeah. I mean, things are not going
confused.
Not going according to plan so far.
All right, so what do? I go grab a drink. And,
cool down.
I cool down. I have a couple drinks of my my beverage. In this case, it was I think it was Henry's hard soda. Tasty. So I take a couple sips. What's a hard soda? Is that what you're gonna ask me?
No, I was gonna say, what are the prices like there compared to like a Tigers game? It's still pretty crazy.
Half the price.
Okay.
So
all right.
Fair, yeah. And maybe they were cheap. No, I think they're probably always half the price. So grab a beverage, still with Ryan Thornburg, and I walk back over there, and I see it. I take a different approach. I see a guy, older gentleman, and I walk up to him, and Jordan, I flexed a little bit. I said, hey, look, here's the situation. My name is Adam Dietz. I host a home improvement podcast. I was invited here as a guest of the Loons. I didn't really know anything about this ticketing system. Is there anything that can be done? And the guy says, yeah, sure, I don't care. And he gives me two of these, like first tier tickets. So it was pretty easy. It was one of the rare times in my life that I have brought up the podcast and used it for something beneficial. I was simultaneously embarrassed, but also, like I said, kind of a flex. So you felt
you had some righteous power right there.
Righteous indignation, as they say. So yeah, that was a weird moment for me. I really try not to talk about the podcast in public, but I felt as though I had no choice. It's a short line. I get in line. I go up. I introduce myself to Richard. He is very kind. He says, "Oh, you made it up here." He mentions the podcast. Yes, how long we've been doing it. Asks when he was on it. He couldn't necessarily remember. He does a lot of podcasts, I guess. Asked who else we've had on the show. When are we going to be done with it?
Yes, a question I ask myself every night.
Yeah, he seemed to ask that several times. I don't know. It's weird. I mentioned that it meant a lot having him on the show. It was a big moment for us. It helped build the podcast because it did, Jordan. That was just episode 40. That was a long time ago.
Yeah, it was.
And I told him we'd love to have him on again. He didn't respond to that.
Very non-committal.
But he signed they gave out these nice, not 8x10s, but photos that sort of look like cards. He signed it. I got my photo, and then I walked away with my head in the clouds. And it was very nice. He was a very nice guy, nice to me, nice to everybody. Ryan Thornburg followed. I don't know what he said necessarily. He said that he just kind of said that he was my friend, and so his was much shorter than mine. And yeah, later on, my parents, who did not get the special tickets, they seemed to kind of let the ticketing system go near the end. There was just a long line. My parents got in line. My mom got a signature as well. It's a large K, signifying strikeout, but I thought it was cool because it, K for Karn. My dad met him as well. And
what was that meeting?
I think my dad... I was kind of far away. My parents wanted me to wait in line with them. And I was like, I'm not doing that. You guys can talk to him on your own. I'm not that close with him.
I mean, we've got his number in our phones, but that's about it.
I think my dad said, "How you doing, Al?"
And he's like, that's not my name.
I don't know. He's pretty good about stuff like that. I heard like 3 or 4 people go up to him and say, can you say, I don't think so, Tim? And every time he said it with a smile on his face. So I guess you just got to kind of be chill with that stuff. I mean, that would be hard, but I guess that's kind of what you signed up for when you do these things.
I mean, how many people at the stadium came up to you and said, say Lions recovered a fumble?
Man, I can think of at least 12.
Yeah, so I mean, and you were very generous, just like the Karn man. So
by the 10th, I was not, but
you were actually angry as you said it.
Yeah, I was getting kind of, but no, he was really nice. He seemed to be particularly nice to children. He likes kids, I think. So that was nice to see. I saw him come down and meet with people in the, I guess we would say, disabled section. So that was very nice as well. He seemed like an all-around good guy. I'm going to wrap this up because we do have an episode to cover. It was a great time. Thank you to the Loons. Thank you to Richard Karn. Jordan, in a perfect world, you would have been there, but I know you were there with me in spirit.
Yeah, I was thinking about you the whole time, and I'm just glad that you went because you're such a great ambassador for the podcast. So it sounds like you showed us off pretty well, and I don't think there's been a bump yet, for listens, but it's coming.
It's coming. Yeah, I appreciate that.
I do have a Richard Karn tie-in here. We briefly, before we get to the episode, we talked about, the house purchase that I had just a week ago, a little less than a week ago now. And I've been doing some home improvement of my own. But perhaps the most interesting thing is we are getting some new carpeting, and we got it from the 50 Floor Company, of which Richard Karn was in a commercial for. So,
oh, that is good, Jordan.
Yeah, so I don't know if I contributed directly to Richard Karn's bottom line, but I'll take some credit.
Yeah, next time just pay him directly.
Yeah, I would.
He'll deliver the carpet to you.
Yeah, he'll install it and everything. So
didn't you also try to see his car recently? You do support the Karn man, but in kind of abstract ways.
Well, yeah, so you do the mainstream stuff. I'm kind of under the radar.
And that is how you like to live your life.
Mm-hmm. Isn't that right? That's why I do a podcast about home improvement.
That's right, yes. Underground podcast.
All right, well, that's a great intro to the episode, and we really have nowhere to go but down from here. But we're going to try, right? We're going to try with episode 136. Mm-hmm. And that is The Wood, the Bad, and the Hungry. Good
title.
Yeah, I like that one. Written by Adam England, who last did Whose Car Is It Anyway? Aired November 26th, 1996. There was a great trivia note here. I don't know if you caught it.
Yeah.
I don't want to spoil things for what's going to happen here later, but they are in a soup kitchen, and nobody's wearing hairnets.
Yeah. I saw that. Is that trivia or goof? I guess it doesn't matter.
It's the same.
Cool note, I guess. I don't know. Interesting way to spend your time. That's what I always think when people put things like that online. Like, I don't know. Go outside. Read a book.
Do something else. Don't do a home improvement podcast.
That's true, yeah.
All right, alternative titles. I've got 3. How many do you have?
Oh man, it just wasn't really working when I tried.
Well, and we talked about they had a good one, so it's I don't know.
Yeah,
it's always harder to do with that.
I have 4.
Okay.
No, I don't know that they're funny or good, but now that I've lowered expectations, let's get into it.
All right, go ahead.
First one, takes giving.
All right. How about Woody Allen?
Controversial. I mean, hey, I as a director, I like him, but I don't stand for all of his behind the scenes stuff. All right, next one, Benny Go Homie. This is after I've used in previous episodes Benny No Homie.
Yeah, well, that's what they do with like the Christmas episodes, right? It's always like flight, night, whatever.
Yeah.
All right. But Benny and regrets.
I think you've used that as well too, so it's good that we're recycling
I think so.
a lot of them. All right, this is a new one, Benny Pincher.
It's good. I like that one. Mm-hmm. How about Phony Baroni?
Pretty good. All right, my last one, a dressing down. Thanksgiving dressing. I don't know.
All right, probably out with a whimper with that one, but that's all right.
Hey, wait a minute.
It was a mixed bag. All right, let's open on the episode. Tool time. Heidi is not on stage, but she's in the crowd. So I guess, I don't know, she's tired. I don't know what the deal is. But there's the Tool men come out. They have some aprons on. It's Thanksgiving. Is this the first Thanksgiving themed episode we've had? I know they had one that was like just before Christmas, but it didn't seem as Thanksgiving-y as this one does.
I remember them sitting at a Thanksgiving dinner before, but probably the first Thanksgiving-centric episode. I don't know that we're getting a Christmas episode this season, based on what I've read looking ahead, which really bums me out. So, because this is kind of like, this is a little bit Christmassy as well. Which is unfortunate that we're not getting a full Christmas episode, because the Christmas stuff in this one kind of sucks.
Wasn't there like this a couple seasons ago where there was kind of a non-Halloween episode too?
Yeah, I never like it when they do that, because the holiday episodes are generally my favorite.
Well, I'm sorry, you're going to have to continue to talk about this episode.
I'm pissed!
Alright, so what does Thanksgiving mean to you, Adam? Does it mean carving up the bird?
Yeah. I always carve up the bird. My dad would definitely let me do that.
For sure.
Yeah.
All right. So that's what it means to men. Apparently, it's race time, and when I say race, I think of the Andrettis, and boy, do they come out in style.
Are these freaking guys just like hanging out on the lot at Warner's or something? Like, they're so available, you know?
Oh my goodness! It was the strangest, celebrity interjection that we've had in a while. I think the. What was Alan Jackson singing? I forget. Mercury, Crazy About My Mercury? That made more sense than this.
I mean, I guess it makes sense to me. I just don't know why the Andrettis are always on Home Improvement. This is like the 10th time, I feel like.
They're going to be on it twice in this episode, too.
I should back that up. I'm going to find out how many times they've actually been on, but I will do that while we're talking. One note something I noticed at the beginning of this scene in this episode is Tim says yada yada yada.
Oh, he does.
I was thinking okay, Seinfeld must have come before this episode, the yada 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 Seinfeld episode, but it actually came after. And I always kind of thought that Seinfeld invented that, but must be that was sort of in the vernacular before. I don't know the origins of yada yada yada, but this is before that episode, so I don't know what to think.
Seems like it's something you should have asked your dad in the interview.
Yeah, well, you've been making fun of the quality of that, so I don't want to talk about it anymore.
I'm just saying we needed someone's perspective who was a little bit older and who, would have known before Seinfeld, because we wouldn't know. Like, we were 6 at the time or whatever, so what do we know?
What do we know? Jordan, okay, guess how many times before this Mario Andretti has been on Home Improvement? Before this episode. Just once.
Really?
Yeah, just one time.
No, they're talking about him all the time or something.
I swear to God, I'm looking at it right now. He's only in 3 episodes, and the first one is Roomie for Improvement, and then this one, and then the finale.
That's a blatant lie.
I swear. I don't know. I mean, proof's in the pudding, as your brother would say.
Why do you always say that?
Because he says it a lot. All right.
All right. Not only are the Andrettis joining the carve off, but the Indy race car announcer, I don't know if they give him a name or not.
I didn't write it down if they gave him one. All right. Could it be Jack Arute?
Sure. Could be.
Okay. Yeah.
All right. So he's going to call the race. There's lots of buildup here, lots of tension, and boy, does it deliver. Tim falls behind until he breaks out a chainsaw. Really goes at the bird, and I think he wins, I guess. I don't know. They kind of leave it open-ended, but that's the end of the opening scene.
See those low-angle shots when they were starting their quote-unquote
All I
engines?
could see was the low-angle shots.
Pretty good stuff, actually. Adam England's something of a auteur.
That's not what we thought the first episode.
That's because I still think of him as being British because his last name's England, and he had that British mechanic in his last episode. So I don't know.
And they bought the British car.
You know who else lived in Britain a lot of their career? Stanley Kubrick, another auteur. So I don't know. Maybe there's something there.
Could be. It sounds like something we need to investigate.
You remember Quentin Scarantino? My favorite director.
Does he do one of these later on, a Halloween episode?
Oh, that'd be perfect. I wish. All right. Okay, next scene. Hey, I have a commercial spotlight here.
I mean, it's been so long, I almost forgot what this was about. But yeah, it's a Hulu commercial, right? So who we got this time?
All right, so it's less about the actual commercial, and it's more just an observation about commercials in general. So This commercial, I don't remember what it was for, but there's like twins in it, like 2 twin 20-something girls. I feel like lately I'm seeing more twins in commercials. Thoughts?
Yeah, I don't really have anything to contribute there because I can't say the same.
Okay, but yeah, just take my word for it. And as you watch television or watch,
it's going to be one of those things that now that I'm looking for it, it's going to be everywhere.
It's like when you buy a Honda and you only see Hondas on the road. So this is going to be like that. So keep your eyes peeled, listeners, as well. A lot of twins in commercials lately, and I don't know what it means, but it means something. Okay. Next scene.
You got Neil?
I'm coming out hot today. I'm coming out hot.
You're on fire.
It's hot in here, and I got coffee, and I'm ready to go. All right, home. Wilson made eel pie. Have we heard this before? I feel like we have.
I think we've heard something similar. Not necessarily eel pie.
Eel something. Okay. Mark comes down, and he's like, I'm not eating that pie. And then he just kind of leaves. It's kind of funny.
At this point, that's really what they're doing with Mark. He just comes in, says like one weird line, and then he bounces.
He's like, let's get that pie out of here. It's kind of funny. It's sort of like that. Randy, he needs a ride to the soup kitchen. Jill says she's proud of the parents' ability to pass on such generosity. Tim comes in and says,
I like that she takes all the credit. That's like what she's saying, right?
I don't know. I guess I thought the whole gag was like, you have such generous parents. Then Tim comes in and is like, oh, I got the last turkey. It's mine, mine, mine.
Yeah. I mean, that's definitely part of it. But it's, saying, oh, I'm so proud of myself. Not proud of Randy. I'm proud of myself for having our values rub off on you.
I think one of the great things about Home Improvement is you can read it in a lot of different ways.
And boy, do we.
Next scene. Go ahead, pal.
All right. It's at the hardware store. The gang's all there. We've got Benny, Harry. I kind of forgot their names since we haven't talked about the show in so long. But the gang's all here. Tim is starting the decorating contest early, the Christmas decorating contest. And is this kind of what you're talking about where they're kind of crossing over Christmas here? It's
the start of it, and
okay.
What comes later is also quite Christmassy. So,
Al and Eileen are coming over for dinner for Thanksgiving. Benny is waiting on an invite. Apparently, he's invited every year, which we haven't necessarily seen. But he does come in, and he's his Benny self. He took all the samples from the supermarket. He's gonna steal some donuts later when he's angry, and he's just waiting for an invite. He's mooching off people. That's Benny. He's a phony Baroni,
Yeah.
And, Tim says, this year we're doing something a little bit different. We're going to stick with just family. And so he goes around and tries to see if he can mooch off of anybody else until Al, he lets down the lie. He can't keep it up. And he lets out the information, and Benny pouts and steals the donuts, and he's out of there.
Yeah. Man, Benny sucks in this episode and just in general. Just not likable character at all.
Yeah, we can probably count on one hand, not even one hand, maybe two fingers, times that we've liked things that Benny has done or said.
Yeah, one of the things I liked about Benny was before he was Benny and he got caught in like the man's, I don't know, kitchen or something. He gets they start washing him. That was something I liked. But,
yeah, he drowns basically.
Right. Yeah, he drowns, comes back to life. Crazy. All right, next scene. Home. Jill wants to donate clothes. In the box is one of Tim's old sweaters. It's a cardigan. This isn't going to surprise you, but I liked it. I would probably wear it. Tim comes downstairs, finds a sweater in the box, says, I'm keeping it. And then he's going to pick up Randy at the soup kitchen. Short scene.
Yeah, a couple of short scenes. I guess apparently she tries to donate it every year, and somehow he keeps the sweater around. So, and we're going to see it later in this episode. So great. At the kitchen, we're at the soup kitchen now. Randy is serving. He's not wearing a hairnet. Big problem.
That took me out of the episode. I actually had to pause for a second and kind of get my. I had to walk around my place a little bit and sort of because I like the verisimilitude of Home Improvement. That's sort of why I watch.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So, yeah, that's the problem with this episode, and that's why we give it the worst episode we've ever seen, right?
I think it's the only problem, though, so that's good.
No one's touching that eel pie. That's the other problem.
Yeah,
and
for real.
Benny comes in as they start to exit, and they try to hide. They don't want Benny to see them at the soup kitchen or whatever. Apparently, he's been coming in a lot lately, and they escape before he sees them. He tries some eel pie, but they've got some kind of sentimental music. Apparently, they think Benny's been down on his luck lately and is now having to come here to eat. So they immediately feel bad. Or Tim, I guess.
This soup kitchen guy that's like Mr. Exposition. It's like that scene in have you seen Wayne's World?
It's been a really long time.
Okay, well there's like a scene in Wayne's World where like, I don't know, they're like Wayne talks to a character and then he kind of looks at the camera and he's like, boy, that guy had a lot of information. Like just like delivering exposition for the sake of the plot. And this is kind of like that. Like this guy's like,
definitely.
Yeah, this guy must be down on his luck. Been coming in a lot lately. I don't know what it is, but it's got to be bad. It's just like I don't know. It just was really interesting.
They're not leaving anything to the imagination.
No, right, exactly right. Like that guy is going to really put us where we need to go to make sure we understand everything. But
I wonder if they like tested this with people. I mean, probably not. And they were like, they're like, yeah, we don't understand what's happening right now.
Hey, what's Benny doing in the soup kitchen? I don't get it. I thought he had places to go. All right, whatever. They hide, and like you said. All right, next scene. And this is where, man, I didn't know this was coming. Did you?
I remember this scene. I don't remember what was going on in the scene, but I remember it because it's just so different from anything they've done.
Yeah, okay. I didn't remember it, and boy, you can imagine my shock.
You had to stop again and go for another walk, right?
Well, it didn't make me mad like the hairnet thing, but it was pretty close. So Tim's watching, I guess it's Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer.
Santa Claus is coming to town, I think.
Okay, all right, Santa Claus is coming to town. It is claymation, is that what you would call it?
Yeah, it's the same kind of stop-motion type stuff.
Stop motion, that's good too. All right. He's watching it, and he feels guilty about things, and he's kind of just sitting on the couch feeling guilty, and then he dozes off, and
his brain takes over.
Things really change from here. It becomes like stop motion animation, claymation, whatever you want to call it. I tried really hard to find things like online about this, like why they did it, if it was viewed as being interesting at the time, if it was a trend, how much did it cost, et cetera, et cetera. Couldn't really find anything on it. I don't know. Just seems people don't think this is strange. I found it very strange.
Very strange. They're trying to turn this into a morality tale, basically, and I guess that's where they were going with this, and kind of the Christmas theme and all that kind of stuff, but it is a bit jarring.
The jokes, it's just like Tim is in the house, and it's basically Tim going through his life. Tim's in the house, Tim's at the fence, Tim's at tool time. The jokes are pretty bad. Like in general, there's just a lot of bad jokes. There's like Tim's got a termite in his ear, but what's really strange is the lack of there's no audience there, so no one's laughing at the quote unquote jokes. So they really stand out, and they seem worse than they probably are, although they are pretty bad. But Tim suddenly becomes very charitable. This made me think of, like, I don't know, just like him voicing something. A lot of Buzz Lightyear vibes for me. I don't know. I don't really have a lot to say. Like, he talks to Wilson. He goes, I guess Al as the snowman I found kind of funny. Like the Burl Ives snowman. That was sort of funny. But in general, it's pretty... It looks cool for the time, but it kind of landed with a thud for me. I don't know what you thought of it. It's just weird. I don't really know how to explain it.
Yeah, it is weird. I also found like the absence of the audience pretty strange. You're just so used to the laugh track at this point. 136 episodes of it. So just when it goes away, it's like, oh wow, this is strange. The jokes, I mean, perhaps the weirdest one for me is, well, there's actually a couple of very weird ones. Tim ends up headless at one point, but also Wilson takes off his hand.
Well, there's a really weird thing that happens in the post credits.
Yes. Well, we'll get to that, I guess, right? Yeah. Tim gives himself, I guess, is kind of part of what's going on here. I don't know. It's very, very strange. I guess impressive. It's impressive in the same way that when they did the dummies a long, long time ago with Jill and Tim, that was impressive. Just someone with the craftsmanship and kind of the realism that happens. Yeah, so I guess that was kind of cool, but yeah, I don't like the content really.
The content's bad. It's like they did it and then they needed to write stuff around it. It does look good. I think it would probably look good on TV now. But yeah, it's very strange and like you said, very, very different. And I guess for that reason, I don't know, cool to see different things on a show when you've watched 136 episodes of it. But yeah, I wish there would have maybe been better jokes around it. I don't know.
Yeah, it's a good idea, bad, maybe poor execution. I don't know. But Tim wakes up from his dream, and there's a phone call there. Benny's on the line, and he coaxes Benny into dinner. So, Tim gets to kind of redeem himself. And we move on to dinner time. And the table's being set. Benny's at the door, and they're kind of, in their back of their mind, they still have the soup kitchen thing, right? So they think Benny's really down on his luck. So they're saying, be nice, but don't overdo it. You don't want to seem a little fake.
Funny. It's pretty funny, I think, this part.
Yeah.
Just like when he comes in and everybody's overcompensating, I thought it was pretty good.
Yeah, everyone's very excessive and worried. And Tim is wearing his nice sweater that you mentioned that you would be wearing. And they hold hands and they give thanks. And Tim does the honor. It's getting very sentimental. And then the phone rings, and it's a bookie. Benny's got a bookie calling him, and he places some bets. Not a good look for Benny.
$200.
Yeah, it's a big bet. Bet. And I think that leads into the conversation of like, hey, we saw you at the soup kitchen. You're out of money, right? Like, what's going on here? And it turns out he just likes the soup.
He's a cheap freeloader. Yeah.
He's a moocher, and they turn on him very quickly. Very quickly. So much so that Benny can't take it anymore, and he leaves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sad. If I were the kind of person that added things to the goof section, I would add something. And maybe I'm off with this, but all right. So let's go through this, Jordan. Earlier in the episode, Tim's talking to Al at the hardware store. He says, dinner's at 3, you come at 6. It's a joke, but dinner's at 3. All right, so Benny shows up to dinner, and he gets a call from his bookie, and he's placing a bet on the Lions game. Lions Thanksgiving game, always. What time, Jordan? Noon, right?
Baby.
So he's betting on a game that's already started. Not possible. That's a goof. That's a blunder. And that was the third time I had to take a break, walk around my apartment, gather my thoughts.
Adam England, what are you thinking?
I know. But I suppose it's not that big of a deal. But it did strike me.
Well, I mean, out of some of the goofs that I've seen on there, that's a good one.
Yeah, it's pretty good. All right. Good sleuthing skills by me.
Yeah.
All right, anyways, Tim, they do turn on Benny pretty quickly, although it's pretty despicable.
It's pretty bad, yeah.
Yeah, like, it's pretty bad. Like, I don't know. It's not a good, like, Benny, like you said, storms out. Tim tries to continue the dinner. He does say at that point, like, we're never going to see Benny again, or something dramatic like that. And I was thinking, like, yeah, we only wish, man. We only wish. But Tim feels bad, feels guilty. He's kind of still having, like, he's hearing things from his claymation dream earlier. Eventually, he decides to go outside, and Benny's still sitting on the stoop. And this is where they have a heart-to-heart, Jordan. And you're not going to want to do this, but I think we're going to have to play a clip of this.
All right, fine.
Glad you're still here, Benny.
That's what I go. Want Benny Baroni.
Why would anybody want you, Benny? You do such sleazy things sometimes.
I don't mean any harm by it. It's just my nature.
Yeah. What do you do at Christmas time? Steal something from the Salvation Army?
What would I want with a little bell?
Benny, have you ever heard the phrase, giving something back?
I've heard of it.
Yeah.
I don't know what it means.
Well, it means taking the time to think about other people. People that are really less fortunate than you are.
I guess I shouldn't have taken soup from people who really need it.
That's right.
I shouldn't mooch off for Harry and you. Every supermarket chain in the greater Detroit area.
And parts of Toledo.
I know I'm spending my Thanksgiving. At the soup kitchen, helping out. Tell everybody in there I'm sorry for how I acted.
Hold on a minute, Benny. Before you go, why don't you Have dinner with us. We'll all go down there after dinner.
You sure?
Yeah, I'm sure.
Thanks, Tim. Got a heart of gold.
Yeah, knock on wood.
Tim tries to get into the psyche of Benny, and he says, talks
scary
about,
place.
It's a scary place to be. Yeah, I tell you what, it's a bad place to be. Talks about charity. Talks about I don't know, just in general being a good guy, and there's some kind of lame jokes you will have just heard, but eventually Benny gets to a point where he realizes that Tim is right and that he shouldn't steal from the homeless people, and
it's a shame a conversation had to teach him that. But.
Yeah, and is generally sort of a dirtbag. But Benny has that aha moment, and he says, "I'm going to the soup kitchen now." And Tim says, "Hey, all right, come inside, eat with us, and then we'll all go to the soup kitchen together." And they do just that. Jordan,
I'm surprised they didn't play. Maybe they did. I don't remember. They play some like reconciliation music.
I'm sure they did.
The soft piano playing. Doo-doo. All right. At the kitchen, Tim is serving food, and someone comes around with his sweater, so it looks like he didn't get to keep that. Turkey needs carved, and surprise, the Andrettis come out. So I don't really know what to say about realism there. But.
It's pretty. It's really weird too. It's just like sort of awkward, and they just the guy that delivered all the exposition earlier is like, "You're not the champion He talks like this. "You're not the champion anymore. We got the two Andrettis," and they just like kind of roll out their turkeys, and Tim sort of looks at the camera and is like, "Well, that's all, folks." It's pretty bad. Yeah, it's pretty bad.
Yeah, very strange. Very strange. That would be a very strange end to the episode, but we've got something a little stranger that's going to happen. So they move on to this, man. I don't know, outtakes, after credits, whatever you want to call it. They're back in stop motion land, and this time we're on the other side of the fence.
Yeah.
And we're seeing Wilson with no pants on.
He's bare butt.
What's going on?
Who wanted this? What is this? And it's like, I mean, it's crack and everything. It's just his bare. I don't know. I don't know who okayed it. What they're trying to say. Who thought it was funny? Are we to assume he's always standing there, even in real life, without his pants on? And if so, that adds a new layer to things.
It sounds like we need to go back and rewatch all the episodes.
It's really weird. I'm like generally, this isn't good. This is going to surprise you, Jordan, but I don't watch a lot of like animated Pixar movies or cartoons and stuff. No, I'm an adult, so I don't do that so much. But I don't like it when animated movies or cartoons do like fake bloopers. I don't like that. I don't know. It just kind of bothers me. I think it's stupid. So I didn't really like this to start out with. But then you get this bare ass, and it's like, okay, like who? It's really, really weird and gross, kind of too.
Well, I can't say that I've watched a lot of like outtakes from animated movies. I will say that Toy Story 2 had with the Home Improvement tie-in had a very funny outtakes that I remember from being a child. But yeah, the Wilson no pants is a bird of a different feather, I would say, and it doesn't flock to Taylor. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, it is a bird indeed, yes, and a frightening one. We roll credits, fade to black, and that is. Ooh, I just thought about this. The pantsless scene kind of adds a new layer to the wood part of the title. The wood, the bad, and the hungry. Jordan, eyes and nose, a nickel for your thoughts. Although, I don't know. Maybe Nickel might have to donate more money if he wants the title of this segment to continue. That might be a conversation.
You think he still listens?
You never know.
All right, we'll find out. Yeah, it's not a particularly good episode. I guess it's different because we get it centered around Benny. This is the second one that's been centered around Benny. The other one was where they blew up a house, maybe, or something like that, a long time ago. So, same results as far as just not very exciting or anything. But, we get some new locations. We get lots of guest spots by the Andrettis. I just don't like any of the things that they're doing.
Just 3 guest spots, okay?
All right, well, 2 in this episode, so...
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I like we mentioned earlier, I like the stop-motion idea. I think it's interesting. I think it looks good, but I don't think they necessarily executed it very well. It didn't do much for me. It wasn't very memorable, and it just kind of felt jarring compared to everything else, so... There's not a lot of funny jokes. We don't get a lot from the boys. I thought there would, when the episode started, I thought there would be more of like a Randy storyline going on here, but there wasn't at all. So, just kind of, I don't know, a curveball, I guess. I was having trouble with the curve, like I always do. And, I don't know, I expected more from like the only Thanksgiving episode, and I didn't get very much. So it wasn't my favorite episode. I don't think it was my favorite of the season either. I don't even know if I would call it, like, I would say below average. That's where I'm going to put this.
Okay, all right.
So,
who has more trouble with the curve, you or Clint Eastwood?
I think both of us have equal trouble.
Equal amount of cover, okay. All right. Yeah, it's a tough one to kind of gauge. I guess I'll start with the pros. Much like you, I appreciated them trying the stop-motion stuff. It is interesting to look at, albeit the jokes don't land, and that bare butt stuff is not great, but it's cool. It's a cool idea. What else did I like? I liked the it's a very short scene, but right before Benny arrives, and when he comes in and everybody's sort of overcompensating, feeling kind of guilty or feeling bad that he's destitute. Brad is kind of over the top, and they just a lot of hugging and stuff. I thought that was pretty funny. And then I liked, I guess I like seeing the new soup kitchen set. Hopefully they can use that again sometime. Hope that guy comes back and delivers
Mr. Exposition.
More exposition than needed. Yeah, he must be real down on his luck. He's been coming in lately. He likes the soup. I hope that guy comes back. Lows, I just don't like Benny. I haven't liked Benny from day one. I find him loathsome in this. I mean, really doubled down on that. He's just not a likable character, a bad guy.
They're not doing any favors for him at all.
It's tough. So any episode built around him is I can only like so much. Like I said, the stop motion jokes are bad. The bare butt thing I really didn't like. I don't know. That's just so strange. I guess I should like it because it was so weird, like Kevin J. Leno in an episode, but it just didn't work for me. It's not really that funny beyond that. Jill, the boys really don't have anything to do. Like you said, maybe Randy should have had more going on. The morality of it all, Tim learning to be more charitable, I guess that's always a good lesson. Let's see if it holds to other episodes. But I might have liked it a little more than you did. For me, I'm going to just say average, because it does do some different things. So,
all right, with that, we're going to move on to Sean's social media corner. And if he wants us to keep both of those things named after him, I guess he really will have to step it up, huh?
Yeah, I mean, I'm thinking triple digits in terms of a donation. I don't know.
All right, well, in the meantime, you can reach out to us on thehomeandpodcast.com. We're on Twitter and Facebook at Home and Podcast. You can go to YouTube and find us there now. Subscribe if you haven't. And we're on Patreon at patreon.com/homeandpodcast, where every month, except for maybe this month, we are doing a bonus episode that is maybe tangentially related, maybe not, to home improvement. We've done The Office, which we released on the general feed. We've done Big Trouble, which we should have never done. We've done Rush Hour. We've done many things, and there's many more in store. So make sure to go to patreon.com/homeandpodcast. And if you want to support us in another way, non-monetarily, you can go to your podcasting app and leave us a review. 5-star review. We got another one, so we're up to 41. So pretty awesome. Thank you guys for doing that. Helps other people find us. And I think we're looking for 50.
If we can get to 50, we'll just quit, which people might be happy about.
But they have to be 5 stars. So.
Yeah. That's true.
All right. With that, Adam.
Yes.
I know there's a lot to catch up on Twitter, so just filter it out for us.
Jordan, there is a lot. I'm just going to start with, because we opened the episode by talking about Richard Karn and the time in Midland, I'm going to start with that. So a lot of photos posted in relation to the event, a lot of them chronicling what I talked about. So if you are interested in what I said earlier, take a look at those. The autographs are there as well, in addition to just photos of me, my parents. There's a photo of the original girl that was not going to let me meet Richard Karn. She's in one of them. So if you want to see what she looked like, she's there as well. So those are there. Scrolling up here, it's been busy. Anthony Schneider said that it was awesome. I got to meet Richard Karn. He would love the chance to meet him and that I was a lucky man. And Anthony, I got to agree. Other things here. Toy Story 4 came out. I don't know if people are aware of that. That's a lot of tweets related to that. I spoke to my father. That episode is available. There are some tweets in relation to that as well. Jordan hated the episode because he hates my father, I guess. I don't know. Poll in relation to our Office episode. Who is your favorite character in The Office? 25 total votes. So 4% said someone else tweet at us. We got one tweet for Kevin, one tweet for Stanley. 8% said Pam Beasley, which I don't know how Pam would be anybody's favorite character. 40% said Dwight Schrute, and 48% said Michael Scott. Noticeably, no John Krasinski votes, Jordan.
Wow. Yeah,
crazy.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe if you would have put him on there, he would have garnered the Pam votes.
I know, just trying to not be sexist, I guess.
Good for you, man.
Yeah, it's a good thing to try. Retweeted some Brett White stuff. You want to watch him on Match Game? I watched the whole episode.
Really?
I did.
How'd he fare?
He did well. He won his particular matchup. He's obviously very intelligent. He came on Home and Podcast, so he has to be. I asked him in a tweet how Alec Baldwin smelled, and he did not respond. So that's unfortunate.
I guess that means bad.
I guess it's unfortunate for him that he would kind of turn his back on us like that, but whatever.
He's too big time. He's too big time now. He's on Match Game.
No, it was good. It was fun. I've never watched that. I like the old Match Game.
Oh, I loved that. Was like my favorite game show back in the day.
This is like that, but with people that you only kind of like, or that you liked 10 years ago as celebrity guests. So, what else we got here? Scrolling through, trying to get more iTunes reviews, trying to get more followers, like you said. We're close to 700. So, I tweeted a poll. Will you see Toy Story 4 this weekend? Not that imaginative, but, sometimes you need content. 15 total votes. 0% said, what's Toy Story? 0% said, seeing Child's Play. Well, I got news for you. I've seen Child's Play, the Chucky reimagining, and I haven't seen Toy Story. So, 33% said no, and 67% said yes. Continuing up here, it is a long, long page here. Tim has been doing a lot of stand-up sets. He got confused. One time he thought he was in Indianapolis and he was in Cincinnati, and he tweeted a picture of it. People let him have it for that. And the last thing I'm going to talk about is I'm Gabby92 tweeted a video that compiles every home improvement promo that was on television from 1991 till 1999. And Jordan, I haven't told you this yet, but next week we are going to discuss this video at the top of the show. So
get ready. Watch it now, everyone.
Yeah, well, take a look at that, and be prepared for next week. But yeah, lots of stuff on Twitter. Continuing to try to grow our listenership and our fan base, and get in on the action if you don't mind.
If you do mind, you still got to do it anyway. So
yeah, whatever. I gotta take a break. It's a lot of talking for me. So.
All right. Well, I'll give you a moment to recover, Adam. I have a question for you.
Go on.
Apparently, my food joke offended you, so you made me change the question. So we're going to talk about something else that you hate now.
Wait.
But maybe you didn't in the past. I don't know.
Okay.
Maybe this is like a reverse cards type of thing. You used to hate cards, now you love them. Something like that.
I don't love cards now, but I'm able to do it. I'm able to do it a little bit,
I won a game of poker at my work retreat. How do you like that?
Oh, man, I forgot. I didn't even mention you were in Miami. You're like the least Miami person ever. I wonder how that went. We should talk about that next episode.
Next episode after we talk about
It's weird that you are... I'm looking at you via our chat, and you're wearing like 4 puka shell necklaces?
Well, things changed a lot when I went down there. Kind of a different man.
Yeah, it seems like it. All right, what's your question? Sorry.
All right, some of your favorite... animated shows growing up or movies. I'd love to hear it. And I'd love to hear which ones you hate now.
Ooh, okay.
But maybe that's a peripheral question.
Okay, I'm going to start with what I like. First thing, there's an animated movie that we both really like and that I think we should do on Patreon sometime. And this is my favorite movie probably about when this Home Improvement episode we covered came out, and that is a Goofy movie.
Oh my gosh.
We both love it. We love the music. We watched it when we were in high school together, and we can quote it pretty well. That's a favorite of mine. I've always really liked that, and I do think we should cover it on Patreon at some point. So.
Yeah, I mean, we like it so much that I bought you a shirt the other Christmas.
Me a shirt, and I wear it to the gym sometimes, and people think, "Oh man, how old is that guy?" Although people love like comic book stuff right now, so I don't think that. I guess that kind of thought.
It probably fits in.
Yeah, that thought process doesn't really work anymore. So that's definitely right up there. Lion King and Aladdin, those were things that I grew up with, much like a lot of people, and enjoyed quite a bit. So not that interesting there, really. In terms of, like, animated stuff that I like that is maybe a little bit unique, there's, like, animated TV shows like South Park and stuff like that, and BoJack Horseman that I've enjoyed in the past. Pixar stuff, I liked it when I was younger. As I've gotten older, I guess I've maybe kind of grown out of it. Not to say I can't enjoy it. I will see Toy Story 4 more to be a part of the conversation, not because I so love Toy Story, but I know that stuff is good. I think the trend right now of the animated stuff is kind of like, I haven't seen Aladdin, the new one, and the Lion King thing hasn't come out yet. I think that's interesting. I liked the Jungle Book that they did a few years ago. I thought that was sort of an interesting way to do that, but I'm not sure if I'm on board with that or not. I guess I have to see these movies before I can really say. I try as I get older to not dislike things that I haven't actually experienced. But yeah, I mean, in terms of animated stuff, what didn't I like? I saw Frozen after all the hubbub. I don't know. I guess not for me. Up, I saw that as well. Also,
you didn't like Up?
It's
very emotional.
Yeah, it's fine. I don't know. Maybe I just don't want to cry at a cartoon or something. That's weird for me. But for me, a Goofy movie is good. A Goofy movie 2,
not so much.
Not so much. What are they doing? Why'd they do that?
They go to the X Games. That's why.
Some is more good is good. You know what I'm trying to say.
Yep.
Some is good. More is not always better. Animated stuff. I guess you could say I have a complex relationship with it, Jordan.
Yeah, I've always said that about you.
What about you, pal?
Yeah, I'm a big fan of it. I don't know. I've always liked Disney films. I've always liked. I mean, growing up, it was Saturday morning cartoons and cartoons before school. It was like Pokemon and Recess and Digimon and that kind of stuff. And I think growing up, my favorite Disney movies were like Hercules and Mulan, and that might have been just like because it was so different than some of the other ones that they did. So I don't know, I liked those a lot, but I would watch like any of them, from Toy Story, Pocahontas, all that kind of stuff. And I still now will watch like Moana and Frozen or whatever. Haven't seen Toy Story 4 yet. Different animated shows, non-Disney animated shows. I remember watching a lot of South Park growing up. It's funny, my parents would let me watch South Park, but they wouldn't let me watch The Simpsons. The Simpsons
had a weird reputation thing, I think, and it's so much cleaner and more wholesome than South Park, which is so funny. But I think it was an early 90s thing where, like, I don't know, at some point, a dialogue got started that The Simpsons would maybe, like, rot brains or something, because my parents were not strict about anything. But if I had The Simpsons on, they were always kind of like, okay, we'll see how it goes.
Time to turn it off.
But yeah, it's like, okay, on a trial basis, but at any moment you could have to turn this off. And it's weird because The Simpsons really isn't like that, but whatever.
Yeah. I also really liked Futurama when I was younger. I liked the X-Men 90 series that was out there, that kind of stuff. Yeah. I'm trying to think of like... I've never been a big fan, eventually, like, I watched Family Guy for a little bit, but that really grated on my nerves after a while, so I just couldn't do that anymore. And I don't watch a lot of the, like, newer adult cartoon stuff, like Rick and Morty, or, like, Bob's Burgers, or any of those types. I'm just not really into it. So, I don't know. I like it. But, I don't know. I guess maybe the more adult stuff, I guess I would rather watch a movie, like a real humans doing that, I guess. I don't know. For some reason, it's just I'm not into that. So, whatever. But if you want to know about my Thanksgiving meal, tweet at me.
I don't. Hey, Lois. You don't like family? Lois.
I don't know why. I think part of it was like, On TBS, they played it all the time.
I never liked it, but all throughout high school, everybody was like, man, you're kind of funny, or you try to be funny. You must really like Family Guy. And I was like, no, not really. Family Guy is like one of those shows where, okay, if you sat me down and made me watch an episode of Family Guy, I would probably laugh a couple of times because there are jokes every 5 seconds.
2 seconds,
Yeah, so like, I remember watching Family Guy at your house, so I know you at least liked it a little bit.
Like I said, I watched it for like a year, and then I was like, yeah, I can't watch this anymore.
Must have been the year I was there.
Yeah, that was it. It's a goofy movie, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, man, let's put something in the books for that coming up, because I kind of want to watch it.
Hegs, yeah.
Hegs, yeah. All right, what are we covering next week, Big Doug?
Big Doug, he's back. All right, we're covering Working Man Blues.
Working 9 to 5, what a way to make a living. Jordan, it's been a pleasure to talk to you after such a long time away. And listeners, it's been a pleasure to have you listen as well. And I guess I should say, take care.
Take care, everybody.